In this video series, you're going to learn how to use the PayPal Sandbox. The PayPal Sandbox is part of the PayPal Developer Network. What the PayPal Sandbox allows you to do is to test your payment buttons without having to go through a real transaction. Now what you need to do is you need to sign up for the PayPal Sandbox, and then what you do is you create both buyer and seller accounts. Now the first step will be to sign up. So click the Sign Up Now button, and then you fill out the proper information down here, agree to the terms of use. You can find this at developer.paypal.com, and this is also in your resources document. Once you've finished the process, you will have some instructions sent to your email account that you signed up with that'll tell you how to continue with the PayPal Sandbox sign up. Now what we need to do is we need to get our web pages ready. So we'll go through how to get our web pages ready, and then we're going to come back to the PayPal Sandbox and show you how to set everything up on this end. Now you're usually going to have your main page, which is usually going to be called index, and you're going to have a download page. Now one of the things you're going to want to do is make sure that your download page has a suffix of PHP on it. That'll make sure that PayPal always works. Sometimes if you have an HTML or HTML at the end of it, it will mess up and the download page won't be displayed. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rename this page from this private label product, and we're going to take the HTML off the end. We're going to change it to a PHP, and then we will rename this to some random thing, whatever you want to call it. It's telling us that we're changing it, so we'll click yes. We now have a download page that is a PHP file. Then on the index page, what we want to do is we're going to put our payment button on here. If there's any preparation to do on the index page, you can do that. Now one of the best ways to do this, if you don't have an HTML editor, is to download Composer. And I'll give you a link to that in the resources directory. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Composer. And then what we'll do is we will open up the index page. That then loads the index page in here, and now we can make any changes on here that we want to make. Now this works just like a word processor, so you can replace anything you want inside here. And then down here you'll see that we have our payment button. This is one thing that we're going to change because we are going to replace this payment button with something from the PayPal Development Network. But at this point we'll finish up what we need in this page, and then we'll continue with what we need to do on the PayPal Development Network side. So first we'll save this, and then what we need to do is we need to open our download page. Now this will not open our download page properly because we renamed it to PHP prematurely, I'll admit. So let's go back here and then do a rename and just go over the PHP and turn it back to HTML temporarily. And then we'll do an open, and then we'll bring in the download page, and then you would make any changes you need here. So where it says your company name here, you would put my company name or whatever goes here, your first name, whatever it is. And then here are where your download links go, so you will change those as well. Once you're happy with this, let's just save this part and then close this tab, and then we'll go back and we'll rename this back to PHP again. We're a little premature the first time, so let's rename this PHP. Okay, now all of our site files are now contained in one neat little package here. So what we need to do at this point is upload it somewhere. Now if you have a specific domain name for your site, you're going to upload it into the root. If you're selling PLR products, you may be selling several products from one domain, And if you're doing that, you can just upload them all to the same domain in different directories. And that's what I'm going to do in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload this to one of my domains. I'm going to use what's called an FTP client to upload the files. This is the easiest way to do it. I'm going to use one called Smart FTP, and there's a download link you can use in the resources document. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Smart FTP. Okay, so here's what it looks like when you first open it up. You'll see your local browser here. So what we need to do is go New Remote Browser, and then you give it your domain name here. Then down here you give it your FTP username and password. This will be provided to you when you set up your hosting account. Now just click OK. Okay, so now on this side we have our hosting account, and on this side we have what we want to upload. Now what we have to do is we have to go to where our web documents are stored. Now in this host they're stored in public_HTML, and many hosts do the same thing. Now some of them store them right in the root directory, and some of them use different directories. So if you're not sure, contact your hosting provider and ask them where it is that you need to put your web documents. This should have been provided to you when you signed up. So go inside public_HTML, and then this is what's inside the contents over on this window over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new directory called WordPress, and we're going to upload things into that directory. So what we'll do is we'll create a new directory in here. Let's go down to the bottom and right click, go down to New and click Folder. Now what we'll call this is WordPress, but you would call it whatever you want. Then what we do is we double click on there, and now we have an empty directory, and this is where we're going to upload our website. So all we have to do is go over here, put our cursor on each one to highlight it while holding down the Control key. That'll select all three. And then all we do is we click this button and it'll transfer them across for us. Click on that, and you'll see that it puts them down inside the queue here. Now once everything is uploaded for us, we'll be able to go straight to that site by keying in the URL to it in our browser. Okay, now you can see that there's nothing in the queue down here, and our site is now uploaded. So let's go back to our browser, and then we'll put in the URL to our site, and in this case it's thebestinfoon.info/WordPress. So I'll key that in, and you'll see that our site is now up, and this is to the URL that we want it to, thebestinfo.info, and everything is here the way we want to see it. And then we want to go to our download page. Now our download page was called dsbdsaidas.php. Now an easy way to do this is to right click on this and click rename, and then select all in here. So if we right click in here and then we do a select all, and right click in here again and do a copy, now just click down here somewhere to unselect it. Now if we just paste this at the end of our URL, let me just show you here. Pull this down. And if I just paste this in by hitting Control V, that's our download page URL, and when we hit enter, up comes our download page. Okay, so this is what we need done to this point. What we're going to do next is we're going to place our payment button from the PayPal Development Network onto our index page, and then do a mock payment using the PayPal Sandbox, and we should end up on this download page when all is said and done. And we're going to do that part in the next video. Remember back in video 1, we signed up for our PayPal Sandbox account and it sent us an email. Once you click the link in the email, it'll tell you that you have successfully confirmed your account. So now all we have to do is sign in using the information that we signed up with. So we'll go ahead and do that. And now we're logged in. So what we need to do now is set up some accounts. Now what we're going to need to do is set up our test accounts. So just click on test account and then create a test account. We're going to need to set up both a buyer and a seller. So we can pick the country we want our buyer to be from, and we can pick the country our seller needs to be from. So let's start with the buyer, and we'll leave him in the United States. And then down here, just click on Advanced Options. We're going to add a visa. We'll make him add a bank account so that he can be confirmed. And then we'll give him an account balance of $1,000 so he can actually buy stuff. And down here, create the account. Okay, so we've now created the buyer side of the account. Now what we want to do is we're going to want to create another account for the seller. So we'll just click on pre-configured again. We'll click on seller. Put the seller to be your current country if you can, if it's available in this list. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll show our advanced options again. We'll add a visa and or any credit card you want in here, or none if you want. We're going to add a bank account and we'll give the seller $1,000 also. We'll create the account. Okay, now we have the buyer and the seller created. We have the seller with a business account. We have the buyer with a personal account. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to enable the test mode. So just click where it says disabled. And now the test mode is enabled. Okay, so now our accounts are all set up. And we could go and look at the details of either of these accounts just by clicking on View Details. And then it shows you in here the visa number that is on file that it created for us, expiry date, our checking accounts confirmed with the routing number and so on, our balance, our emails confirmed. So this account is all ready. Similar with the details of our business account, we can just click on this and see what the details are in there. If we want to reset this at any time, all we're going to do is click Reset. And then we can just press the reset button if we wanted to reset. But we're going to leave it as this, so we'll just cancel that. So now everything is done as far as setup's concerned. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go and use the Sandbox. Okay, so now it's time to enter the Sandbox test site. So all you have to do is click down here. New window is going to pop up. Okay, now what you want to do is log into your business account. Now this one happened to bring up the personal side, but we can go back here and we can find our business account and grab the email address and then paste it in here. And then put the password in down here. Now you should have taken note of the numerical sequence when you were setting it up. If you didn't, then you can do a reset and then take note of the password there. Okay, so there's the seller's password. So we'll copy that. We'll paste it in here. And we'll log in. Okay, so here we go. We have our account. We have $1,000 in it. So right away, we can go to Merchant Services, and now we'll create ourselves a button in the test site. Let's go over to Buy Now buttons. Click on that. Okay, and this is just like you do in the regular PayPal site. So we'll give it a name. You give it an item number if you want. Our price. Currency. Buyer's default country. I usually set this to United States because most of my buyers come from the United States, but you can do what you will with that. Okay, now down here we want to use our own button. So click on use our own button image. Now to find our button URL, let's go back to our website that we uploaded, and if we roll down here to where our button is and we right click on it and then we do properties, this is our image location. So just grab this, do a copy, and close it, and then go back to our PayPal development site, and then just paste that right in here. Okay, we want button encryption on, and then what we want to do is add more options. Now in here, what we want to do is put in our download page URL in here. Now the easiest way to do that is to bring up the download page in your browser. So we'll bring our download page up here. And then copy the URL up in the browser bar. And then copy it right into your area here. So we'll just paste that in there. And then when they cancel the payment, we want them to go back to our home page. Okay, at this point, we just create our button. And it's going to give us some code, which is right here. So click select all, right click up here and do a copy, and then open up the folder that your site is in on your desktop or wherever you put it. Go to the index page, and we'll open that with Composer again. Here's Composer. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to delete this image out of here, and then right where the cursor is sitting, and all I did was I select the image and hit the delete key. Now what we want to do is insert HTML. Just paste your button code in there, click insert, and you now have a functioning button. So we'll save this. And now all we have to do is upload and overwrite our site. So again, we'll go back to Smart FTP. We'll select our index page, push this button, and we'll tell it to copy and replace by just clicking there, and up it goes. Now if we go back here, this is our uploaded page, and if we just refresh now by clicking the refresh button on our browser, this will now be a clickable link. So let's wait for the payment page to come up. Okay, so it's brought up from our PayPal Sandbox. Now all we have to do is put our buyer side information in here. Okay, so if we go back to our Sandbox, here's our buyer email address. So just grab this and copy it, paste it in here, then go get the password that you will have saved from here and paste it in there, log in, okay, so here we are, brought up our item number here, our price or quantity, so everything's cool here. This is all our account information, paying from the PayPal balance. So we'll just say pay $27 now. Remember, this isn't real money, so no worries here, we're in the Sandbox. Now what should happen? It brings us up our page that tells us we paid. Now we do return to the test site. test store. And indeed, it returned us to our download page. So now we know that our payment process works. All we have to do is set up a PayPal button from the live site just like we did here, and everything's going to work fine. Now that we've completed our purchase, if we go back to our main Sandbox page here and we look in our test emails, you can see that all the payment notifications and receipt for payments and so on have ended up in here. So you can have a look at what the emails say just by clicking on them in here, and then it brings them up in a new window for you, and you can read the email what it says. This simulates the emails you receive or the buyer would receive when a purchase is made. Now, something else we have here are test tools. And within here, we have a way that we can test instant payment notifications or PayPal's IPN. If you have a script that uses IPN, it validates the PayPal information to make sure somebody has paid you before it sends them a download link or grants them access to a membership site. To use this, all you have to do is click on Instant Payment Notification, the URL to the IPN handler. In other words, your script will have an IPN handler or an IPN address, and that'll be given to you. And what is going to happen is PayPal will send information to this IPN handler to make sure that it works properly. Now what you want to do is pick the kind of transaction you want to send to it. So if you wanted to send a web accept payment, you click on that, and down here is the information that's going to be sent to the script. So you can fill all this in as you see fit. Okay, then all you have to do, now make sure your IPN URL is up here. Then all you have to do is send IPN, and it will give you a result back. So I'm going to go ahead and put a valid IPN URL up here, but I'm not going to show you what it is. Okay, so now we'll just send IPN. Okay, and it's told us that IPN was successfully sent. At this point, you would check on the scripting side or on your site to make sure that things happened on the site that you expected them to happen. Now the API is an advanced function for Website Payments Pro, and that's beyond the scope of this video series. Now you know how to get your website all set up and how to use PayPal's Sandbox to test out your payment process and make sure everything works right. And that concludes the video series on the PayPal Sandbox.